Welcome back to the United Stand. Big Kobbie Mainoo news to jump into this afternoon. Does he want out? That is the media claim, that he is open to leaving. We're delving into it in more detail. How big a mistake, how bad of a mistake would this be for Manchester United? Does this go against the principle of our DNA of a football club, selling the academy players, especially one that so many of us deem to be of tip-top quality? I want your thoughts and I want your opinions on that. We're also looking at the situation with what would be the remedy. What would be the remedy to this circumstance if we sold him now, if an offer come in, if Manchester United got it done. We're also going to talk about Lammens, and reportedly Man United have now been outbid for our new goalkeeper, with Galatasaray offering more, surpassing the bids of both Man United and Manchester City, according to sources in Turkey. We're going to delve into these stories. We're going to get your views. We're going to get your opinions on this. But do us a big favour and hit those like buttons. Make sure you are subscribing to the United Stand. Get those two things done and turn on those bell notification buttons as well. Very, very important indeed that all those things are done. But I'm going to pour myself a drink because I'm thirsty. I've been gym. And I'm trying not to eat a couple of hours after I exercise, but I need some sugar, so I'm going to have a little bit of orange juice because I need it. That's it. And I got caught in mad traffic coming back, so I was back a little bit later than I expected to be. Hello, who's tuning in here? Hello, Nabil. Terry the Tank. I wish, mate. I wish. More like a flub. A flub. He's not worth 180k a week. We're going to get into that in a moment. I don't trust Amrim anymore. Some real dichotomy of opinions here, which I'm liking. I'm liking the fact that the community's got all these different views. But let's go through the story to begin with. I think it's always important to do that. And Ben Jacobs, of course, friend of the United Stand, has said here, and I'll read this verbatim from him. And he says that Kobbie Mainoo is open to a Manchester United exit, as revealed by TalkSport. Told Mainoo will likely only consider a move with a European for a club with European football if anything materialises. Manchester United don't yet have a set asking price, but if Mainoo asked to leave, they would engage with suitors. No guarantee of a development before the window shuts, but Mainoo is assessing his options. Now, look, we have 4 days. 4 or 5 days. The rest of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. 6 then, maybe. Round it all up. About 5 days, actually, because we're most of the way through Thursday. And look, it's gutting. I can't lie. The thought of Kobbie Mainoo going is gut-wrenching to me. One, yes, he's from the academy. And we've got one of the most famed academies in the world. You go back to that FA Cup final and there's that beautiful picture of Johnny Evans, Tom Heaton, Rashford, Mainoo, Garnacho and others, McTominay, sitting around the FA Cup. And I think the caption was along the lines of the academy that keeps on giving. And I'm someone that for the last decade or so on social media has pushed back against the Flux United fans, the fake Reds, the wannabe Man United fans, the glory hunters, who I remember seeing multiple posts, multiple clips from their podcasts. I don't care about the Man United DNA. Every club has a DNA. We shouldn't be married to our DNA. And I reject that notion wholeheartedly. I want Mainoo to stay as well, not just because he's an academy player, because you have to be, and I'm going to get onto why it's important that he's good enough. It's because I believe he's one of the best young midfield players in Europe, and we should be developing and we should be nurturing him. But my mind is torn. My mind is really, really torn. And I'll tell you why. And Tom James, your comment that Bruno is the problem, I'm going to come back to that later and tell you why what you're saying is fundamentally, it's an overstatement. What you're saying is wrong because you're over-egging it. There is also this other train of thought. We can't be against the sale of... So there's someone that I know, a Man United fan, who said to me this morning, Kobbie Mainoo's okay. He's a decent player. But I hate the fact that we're selling him. And I went, hang on, that doesn't even make sense. If you don't even think he's that good a football player, why would it bother you that we're selling an academy player all of a sudden? Because none of us were upset when Phil Bardsley was sold from the club. Even when it was like Darren Gibson, we knew he wasn't good enough, even as a fringe player. None of us cried. You know, you think back to, I've not seen any protests about Tyler Blackett. I can't remember the last time anybody was crying about him not getting game time. What about Paddy McNair? Where are the rants? Where are the ravers when it comes to Paddy McNair? So what we shouldn't do is present this as he's an academy player, therefore he should never be sold. You still have to be good enough. And I think it's important to set that standard before and framing before you have this debate. Because the argument can't be we're killing the club because we're selling academy players. That is an incorrect statement. Your sentiment might be right, but your argument is wrong. I believe that the idea of getting rid of Kobbie is wrong because he's too good to do that with. He is such a talent. But that being said, we have to look at the rationale and reasonings. Why would Man United be open to engaging the sale of him if he wants to leave? Is it because Ruben Amorim doesn't rate him? It's a fair argument because he doesn't get enough game time under the manager, in my opinion. The manager doesn't rate him. Does Jason Wilcott, does Barada, does Vavell rate him? Does Darren Fletcher truly rate him? Do they really see a player who can go take us to that next level? Does he have the legs? Does he have the durability, the physicality, the stamina, the availability, if playing regularly, for his clear technical ability to shine through? So it could be the manager don't rate him. It could be the footballing decision makers don't rate him. It could be that we want him to go because we're adopting a City policy. And it wouldn't be surprising if we adopt a policy that Man City have, with Barada being here. Man City will sanction the sale of any player, academy, high purchase, star player or not. As long as the right figure is brought into the club, they don't stand in anybody's way of leaving. So maybe this isn't a case of not rating him, but maybe it's a case of, well, we're offering you 150k a week. You want more. You want more game time now. You're not getting it. If you want to leave, we don't want you to, but we'll sanction it for the right price. So I think it's really important for us to be open-minded to the rationales and the whys, rather than us creating potentially false narratives about our own club and bashing it publicly when we don't know the full truth. Now, although I'm being objective when I put those things out there, for me, wholeheartedly, I disagree with the notion of selling him. I believe that Mainoo should be given game time. I believe he should be given a chance to oust Bruno Fernandes. Tonight against Grimsby is an opportunity for him to show, again, we know he's brilliant. I know he's brilliant. He doesn't need to prove it to me personally, but he has got to deliver on the pitch. What we cannot rewrite is that he spent a lot of last season injured and wasn't particularly great in a lot of games that he played in central midfield. Does that mean I want Bruno starting over him? No. Does that mean that Mainoo is beyond criticism? Absolutely not. Every single player is. And it becomes a complex situation because that comment I just mentioned a moment ago from, I can't remember the name of the person because I can't see the comment now. I think it might have been Tom. If it's not Tom, I apologise. Who said Bruno is the problem. Now, for me, saying Bruno is the problem, I've got to push back, bro. I've got to tell you one thing. You are wrong. Anyone using the words the problem is either emotionally so emotional that they're not thinking clearly, or a liar. And the reason I say that is because we keep doing this. Panacea. Every time we're going through a rough patch, there is a proportion of Man United fans and so damning to us as a club, some very well respected Man United fans come with panacea. Pogba's the problem. Rashford's the problem. Ronaldo's the problem. Jose's the problem. Ollie's the problem. Ten Hag's the problem. Now, Bruno, the problem. Amorim, the problem. And I just don't, again, I think it's so important. I think it's imperative that we have deeper, more meaningful conversations and focus on root cause analysis. Bruno in central midfield is not good for us. I don't like it. I agree. But he isn't the reason that we've missed big chances in these games. He's not the reason that Bayern pushed the ball into his own net in the opening 2 matches, as an example. Equally, last year, he wasn't playing in central midfield all the time. He played more often in an attacking midfield role, and we were struggling to win games then. So we're not suddenly started losing games because Bruno's in central midfield. So the statements of the problem, even though you're focusing on... In life, if you find... You might discover an issue, and you might be right to call that issue out. But if your solutions are incorrect, your whole point falls down. So I think Man United fans should stop over-egging the Bruno situation as the problem, because they are fundamentally wrong. Sell Bruno today, bring in Belieber, we wouldn't have won the last 2 matches. We still missed our chances. Our conversion rate is still one of the worst in the Premier League at somewhere in the region. Just on shots on target alone, we take a look at this actually. I've got to give you this stat, because United fans have got to wake up and not be dragged in by the media. And the media here are not your friends, they're your enemy. They're your absolute fundamental enemy. So if we go to and look at Manchester United statistics as an example, let's go to the Premier League. It's better to actually go into the Prem than it is looking at the... bear with me a second, people. I'm very, very sorry. Let me move it over here because it's a bigger screen. So I've got to click on the league. There we go. Here we go. So we go to stats. Okay. And let's go to teams and the team statistics. So in the attack, shots on target per match, Manchester United sit 4th in the league. We've had 5 shots on target per match. Chelsea on 5, Spurs on 5.5, Liverpool actually 7 per game. They only actually had 3 in the last match. They had a lot in their first game. Liverpool's conversion rate 29%. Tottenham's conversion rate 17%. Chelsea's conversion rate 16%. Arsenal, that are behind Man United, they've had less shots on target per game, 22% conversion rate. City, 16% conversion rate. Okay? Man United, 3% conversion rate on our shots. 3%. Bringing in Belieber doesn't make... And do you want to know why I also know what I'm saying is true? Do you want to know why? Because if you look at the chances created in the XG, Brighton are actually higher in the table than Manchester United. But their conversion rate on shots also sits at 4%. And why is that significant? Because Belieber was in those games. Belieber didn't help Danny Welbeck score a penalty either, did he? Danny Welbeck hasn't made Brighton's conversion rate go from 4% to that, say, of 15, 20% that the other clubs are doing. The reason why Brighton and Man United sit in the bottom 5 in the league after 2 games is because we haven't finished our chances. That doesn't mean the midfield at Man United is not a problem. It doesn't mean the goalkeeper's not a problem. But everybody at Man United is panacea, 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 panacea. What a cure-all. Fix this, we're completely fine. We have to reject this conversation. We have to reject this debate. Because if we believe that upholding standards and pushing our opinions helps the club, which most people do, we have to also, if we believe that we have an influence on how the club might make decisions, we can help force... We must believe that we can force things, otherwise we wouldn't all get behind the protest for the Glazers out, would we? Right? So therefore, if we believe in that, we have to reject bad ideas. And people saying X is the problem is the mother load of bad ideas. This super chat here says, go and get Hayden Hackney now, please. Clip me up. He's miles better than Belieber and only 19 million. I don't know if he's miles better than Belieber, but I love Hayden Hackney. I love Hayden Hackney. He is a phenomenal football player. I would absolutely love him at Manchester United. And at £19 million, I think we and every other Premier League club is crazy. What's going to happen with Hackney is eventually a club's going to take a gamble on him. And a year later, you're going to be looking at Wharton prices. Sachet here with a super chat says, why are we scared to accept that Spurs, who finished 17th, have somehow turned it around in a couple of months with a new manager? We have what we have done differently to achieve this turnaround. Well, the fundamental difference, there is a difference if you want the difference. Spurs, for the best part of 4 to 5 years, were building squads for pragmatism and the way Thomas Frank plays. They then just decided, after building a squad for a Nuno and a Jose and a Conte, I'm not sure it was that order, but that's who they had. They've got a powerhouse of a midfield physically. They've actually got very good defenders. They've bought very well. They've spent a hell of a lot. They've actually spent more money up until the Eze deal. They spent more money during Arteta's time at Arsenal than Arsenal have. People don't realise this. And they bought a lot of quality. They just had the wrong manager with the wrong system. Now, I think our situations become comparable, Sachet, if you think our squad and our midfield and our team is as good. Then I think your argument holds water. But what we have to first establish is, do you think our squad's as good as Spurs is? The second point of the debate is, would you be happy playing that kind of football? We had a manager at United before that got us into second and won us trophies, who was more of a pragmatist. And the same United fans are angry today with the same guys calling for his head because the style of football wasn't good enough. I'm not saying that was you. I'm asking you that question. But I absolutely think the manager should be under pressure. And I absolutely think that we have to scrutinise him. There's a super chat here from Ray that says, for me, the conversion rate is very important stat that people often look over. It's telling you that they're not finishing their chances. Look, at the end of the day, that's why, let's see what happens when Šeško comes in. Let's see what happens when the players score a few goals, then go up another level. This is why I know we're looking back at last season, but last season was the same issue. Last season, our conversion rate was absolutely atrocious. We could actually go back and look at it again. Last year, we didn't even, things faded away. But last year, our conversion rate was 8% for the season. 8% conversion rate. Absolutely horrendous. Put that into perspective. Liverpool, 13%. City, 11%. Chelsea, 10%. Arsenal's was 12%. So look, by the way, the worst in the league, to give you context, was Southampton at 7%. We had the second worst conversion rate in the entire league last year. Second worst. You suddenly put us into the top 25%. You're gaining 15, 20 more points. We're not as under pressure. We are ignoring the conversion rate element in this team, and I think it's sad that we're ignoring that. Yes, criticise the midfield. Yes, criticise the goalkeeper. I have done that, but I don't think we should be fundamentally missing that point. But on the Mainoo situation as well, I want to bring it back here. We'll come back to some more super chats in a minute. For me, I think a bit of this is media driven by the player's agent, who is putting the feelers out there. I don't think Man United want to sell him. My gut feeling is that Man United want to build a team around him. My feeling is that they want him to fight for a position. My feeling is that the club want him to stay. If he comes into the office tomorrow and says, guys, there's going to be a bid that comes in from Bayern Munich tomorrow for 65 million, I would like you to accept it. I don't think we're going to keep a player that doesn't want to be here. I hate that decision, but I've got to be consistent. I don't want the club to keep players that don't want to be here. If Mainoo thinks he's done enough and should be in the first team, and he wants to now leave, we then have a choice. We either force him to be picked, we force the manager to pick him, which I know people will agree with in the first instance, but there's a precedent being set with that scares the living daylights out of me. Do we want sporting directors and footballing directors picking the team? You could answer that question below. I'm putting it out there it's not rhetorical, it's a question. We either turn around and go, no, we're keeping him, and Amorim, you've got to get him into this team. You've got to play him, irrespective of what's going on. Or we say, well, you were promised some chances to perform. You've decided to not take them this season. You want to leave. Get the money and go. But what we need to be really, really careful about, is that we need a replacement here. And that for me is a part of this conversation, that forget Mainoo for a minute and what he means to you and what he means to me, the academy. If we don't have a top quality replacement lined up, we can't sell him. If we do, we've got 3 bloody midfield players. So there has to be a remedy here. There has to be some sort of remedy here from Manchester United. There simply has to be. This year says, people forget that Sir Alex sold Bex and Keane. Like, I also say this to you now. If we would have won the Europa League, if we'd have beaten Arsenal and we'd have beaten Fulham, and this is where I want everybody to calm their emotions down for a second. Because I'm not even saying people are wrong. I'm just looking to have a conversation. And that seems to trigger people. What are you trying to shut me down? No, just let's be grown-ups. Imagine we had the conversion rate that Arsenal have this season. Imagine we did. Imagine we had that conversion rate. Is it plausible? Is it plausible that if Mainoo was asking to leave, that we'd beaten Arsenal, we'd beaten Fulham, that a percentage of Man United fans would say, well, you just wait till you get your turn. We've started well, we've won games. What are you talking about? And that's where sometimes, I think in life, whenever you're thinking about making a decision, I'm going to nail my flag to the mast, you have to think. I, by the way, don't want us to sell him. I think we've made a mistake. I'm annoyed that he didn't get minutes in the first 2 games. I haven't changed my mind. I'm just giving you food for thought. People have clipped that up and put it out and then try and call me all types of pejoratives. But I'm just having a conversation and stimulating the conversation in the chat. Let's do some more of your comments here. This says, could Xerxes do a Joel Linton and drop Bruno for Mainoo? I don't know if Xerxes can play in midfield. Again, it's about the legs. The man's not very quick. We need someone that can cover the ground quicker in our midfield. It's so important. It's important. Terry, leave the stats. Our midfield is non-existent. But I'm not going to do that, Madison. Again, because I'm not going to ignore... I know our midfield ain't great. You know, and again, in terms of possession as an example, you know, average possession this season, I think we're in the top 5 or 6. So it isn't as though we're not holding the ball. It isn't as though we're not pinning people back at times in the game. We definitely have a problem with people finding space in behind our middle 2 because they can't cover the ground. I don't disagree. But this is the problem, Madison. Everybody wants panacea. Fix the midfield, we're sorted. Well, not if we don't start converting the chances. We'll be in the same situation. Not if we don't get the new goalkeeper. We have to... Madison, we cannot ignore all the problems and focus on one. This has been the problem in this fan base for 13 years. And then everyone goes... This is what happens if you do that, okay? And it doesn't. I don't even think it impacts the club. It's about us as fans. You go, get this midfield done. We're sorted. And then today... Manchester United make a world record bid for Belieber. My club. Whoa, dopamine. Ooh. Man United also bid for Hayden Hackney. Oh my God, I don't recognise my club. We're moving. Inject it into my veins. You get all of that. You get all that. You get all the silly YouTubers on the phone to all their mates. Hold that, my club, my manager. Barada madness. You get all of that. Then we don't convert the chances. We don't convert the chances. And that dopamine rush leads to a massive drop. And then everyone becomes grumpy and angry. Manager's shit. Club is shit. Should have bought the wrong players. Did this wrong. Did that wrong. Oh, I hate this club. And everyone loses their mind. And that's because what they're doing is you're not focusing on all the problems. You're not focusing on all of them. I want that. I would love that to happen to our midfield and I'd be happy. But what have I said all summer? Whether we buy someone I'm excited about or we buy someone I hate. Whether we win a game well or lose a game badly. Feet on the floor. 3 to 4 years to fix us. Sack Amorim. 3 to 4 years to fix us. In fact, we might go backwards a bit because we might change system again. 3 to 4 years to fix us. Man United fans that are going mental today. This player's the problem. Trust me. Sell him. We're sorted. Sack him. We'll be back. They're all wrong. They are all wrong. There is no one problem. Panacea does not exist here. There is not a cure-all. Now, we might change manager, sell Bruno, bring in 2 new players, continue in the same path. You can change formation. Formation doesn't dictate a system. You might change slightly and you start to see the improvement. People go, see, a new sack in the manager would work, but it wouldn't just be that one thing. There's multiple. So again, like I've said, I'm not even against the manager being sacked. I'm against changing direction overly. I'm against starting again from the beginning. 18 months in, 300 or 400 million into spending, with the potential that half the players we've bought don't fit what the new manager wants. As long as we continue in the same direction, we'll keep moving forward. But this idea of, they start again, no, they're wrong. I don't care how funny they are when they rant, they're wrong. Kaya here says, we'll take Mainoo at Arsenal. United will ruin him. Oh, listen, he walks into that Arsenal midfield. He walks in. Yeah, listen, I think you put him in the 8 position instead of you keep Rice, keep Zubimendi, put him in the Odegaard position. Your midfield goes to another level. Put him in that Odegaard position, box the ball. He'd kill for you, mate. He'd destroy it for you. Him linking up with Saka and Eze. Next level, I agree with you. I'd hate to see it, but I do agree with you. I think it would work very, very well indeed for you. Let's do some more of these comments that have come through here. Let me scroll down on my screen. Wizard of Oz football. We're stuck with it. Hi Terry, I said to Mark before that I'm worried about our academy record in the squad ending this season, and he called me out for it. What do you think? I share a concern, but I think Mainoo will stay. There's the likes of Fredrickson that are involved as an example. I mean, there might be another remedy to this as well. I mean, in terms of the statistic, if Bayandere goes and Onana goes by the end of the window, Tom Heaton will be on the bench every week, so it'll be fine, as an example. But I do get people's concern with it. But there is obviously Fredrickson, who's still within the first team squad. I'm not sure what Diego Leon is classed as because of his age, but obviously there's him. Toby Collier's gone out, which is Kobbie. I still think Kobbie Mainoo is going to stay personally. In relation to that, you've got Obi that will come into the first team squad. But I think when the Garnachos go and things like that, you might see a player or two promoted. That being said, you know, I do worry about it. I want the record to stay, but I want the team to be better. If I asked you, this is what I mean. The record's important, but let me create a hypothetical for you. If I said to you now, we'll maintain the record all season, but finish 8th, but there'll be 3 or 4 weekends of the season where there's no academy player, but we finish 5th, which would you pick? Just out of interest. Just as an exercise to see how important it is, if that makes sense. You know, I did this before with Arsenal fans. At the end of last season, some Arsenal fans were doing up this weird being in the Europa League every year and winning it a couple of times over a decade is better than being in the Champions League for a decade and never winning it. And I called it out and said, well, let's hypothetically look at that. To be in the Europa League now every year, you've got to finish generally you're finishing sometimes 5th, but it's going to be between 6th and 7th. Generally, you might win the FA Cup along the way, but league position-wise, being in it every year, you're looking generally at finishing between 5th and 7th. If you're finishing 5th, if you look historically in the Premier League, if you're finishing between 5th and 7th, what's the guarantee of winning the Europa League multiple times in a 10-year period? When you're as good as Arsenal are now, there's a great chance. But if you're as good as a team that's only coming 6th or 7th, the likelihood of winning it is a lot lower. So if you want to be as good as Arsenal are now, you're not going to qualify for the Europa League every year. You're going to be in the Champions League. So it's a little bit of a paradox. So which would you prefer to be? And you've got to create those hypotheticals because you've got to test the theory. You've got to test this theory to the nth degree. You've also got to look at it and go, actually, no, how important is the record to you? Because for me, I want the record to stay. But if I was offered that option, I'd like to be in the top 5 in the Champions League next year, because top 5 probably means we've been a much better team. And being a better team is more important than the record. But maybe some people disagree, and that's absolutely fair and fine. But I'd love to know. Let's let Kobbie go, Terry. We would only have 4 midfielders. No, I agree. We can't let him go. You're spot on. I don't think we will let him go. Terry, I like Mainoo. I don't think he does. I don't think he does what... Sorry. I like Mainoo. I don't think he does not want to leave. I don't think he does not want to leave. What does that mean? I don't think he does not want to leave. So you think he wants to leave? I don't know what you mean. To leave, and Man United do not want to sell him. Agents negotiating tactics. There is an element of that as well here. I think there is a bit of public negotiations. If we fix the midfield and the goalkeeper, we'll mess up. Look, I think if we fix the midfielder and the goalkeeper, we might create some more chances, but the conversion rate's got to go up. We probably concede. We would have. I think what would happen in the last 2 games with a goalkeeper, we don't concede to Arsenal, so we at least draw. And I think that Fulham wouldn't have got their confidence in the game if we hadn't have allowed them to from those corners. The corners is what gave them their life in that game, I'm telling you. They came to life from them corners. Satchit here says, I think the remedy has been staring straight at Ruben and he's ignoring it. Change the current formation. No sacking Ruben, but Ruben needs to adapt to the Premier League first. Potentially. Or just buy him the players that make his formation work in the Premier League. That's what the other clubs do. But I hear your point. I hear your theory. The other big story that's come out this afternoon that I want to delve into before the end, and this has got me a little concerned as well. It says that an authorised representative of Galatasaray travelled to Belgium, sat down with Antwerp and submitted a final offer for Lammens. This offer surpassed the bids of Manchester United and Manchester City. Now, that's come from a reporter in Turkey. Now, I look at it from this point of view and perspective. The player, it's stated, only wants Man United. So often in that scenario, if the player is only picking one club, it almost becomes a little bit irrelevant. It becomes a little bit, so what? If a bid from another club is higher. The only issue you've got is we need the deal done. One, I hope the player's head doesn't get turned. Two, and maybe this isn't important to the football club today, but it certainly is to us as fans. I just want to see it done. I just want to have that sense of relief that we've got a new goalkeeper coming in. I still think Man United will do it. I still hold a really strong level of confidence that we'll get this deal over the line. The only element I'm a bit frustrated with is we got to a point maybe 4 days ago where it felt like we could see a here we go at any second, and it has slowed down. And I know that we have other priorities. I know we have other things going on at this particular moment in time that we have to focus on. But how do I say this in the right way? We'll get the Lammens done. I think this story, listen, the news is probably correct. Galatasaray probably are bidding more, but we've seen that all summer. Spurs and Newcastle bid more for Mbeumo. Newcastle bid more for Šeško. They all offered them bigger wages than we did. So I'm not overly concerned. But because there isn't long left in the window, there's this element of if we miss out, what are the other options? But what do you think? Do you think we'll get it done? Do you think we'll get it over the line? Let us know in the comment section below, please, people. Ben Lloyd here says, can't believe supporters are already calling for Amorim out. Forget last season. That wasn't his team. It's only started this season and still hasn't got his own team sorted. Give the man time. I think what's so interesting about your comment there, Ben, is I think I'm reading the replies to what you've said. Straight talk, well said. No, what are you saying? Horrible excuse, well said. I don't get. You don't need to have your own players to win games. So much to unpack in that. There's Thomas Frank don't need his own players. Well, that's because Thomas Frank has come into a squad that's ideally built for what he does. Ruben Amorim did not come into a squad that was built to play 3-4-3, that wasn't built to play his brand of football. So the circumstance and the starting position is very different. Very, very different indeed. I'll give you an example. Let's just say, let's use YouTube. Let's say me and Mark Goldbridge both decide we want to retire. We're both going to sell our YouTube channels. And let's say that Ben here with the super chat buys mine. And who says a horrible excuse? Jay buys Mark's. But let's say you both decide that you want to run it in the same way the United Stand works. United Stand and the Football Terrace are different. We do more call-in shows. We're more reaction show after game based. Where the United Stand is also we're more about multiple clubs. United Stand is one club. So we do different types of content, and we're focused on different people. If Ben comes in and goes, right, but I'm changing the Football Terrace to be like the United Stand, but Jay's coming in and keeping it like the United stand. Let's create a hypothetical. Which channel is more likely to maintain consistency and yield results in terms of growth and subscribers and engaging content sooner rather than later? The one that is changing almost every fundamental element of how it operates, and not just on the pitch. Ben's also coming in and changing how we do our bookkeeping, changing our accountants, changing our lawyers, changing a lot of the staff over, changing the name. You know, I know we haven't changed the name of Man United, but changing everything internally. Where Jay's coming in, everything's staying the same because it's actually run quite well. There's already a brilliant team in place. And I know that Spurs didn't do well last year, but they were actually playing the wrong way. Jay is going to create more consistency sooner because the situations are different. And I think for me, this is what we forget. We also live in a world where people will say Mikel Arteta didn't win the FA Cup because it wasn't his team. I see those same people online. So there's an Arsenal fan I know and like very much that doesn't let Arteta claim that as his because it wasn't his team. Goes, this is the team he's built. This is what I judge him on. He's also telling me that we should sack Ruben Amorim because he has failed. Although the team that he lost all those games with last year wasn't his team. I'm like, there's a fundamental flaw in your logic. So I'm not saying you guys, any of you are wrong, but I would need to understand your overarching view of football before I agree or disagree with you. Because I think there is merit in both arguments. There is merit in both. If you're someone that believes that Mikel Arteta's FA Cup doesn't belong to him, as an example, you can't hold last season against Ruben Amorim. It's a fundamental flaw. If you're someone that thinks the opposite, then you can do that. But it's about consistency of conversation, because I do believe in this space we live in, people will bend and twist how they view football to shit on managers, shit on things they hate, and praise things they like. And yeah, so listen, I'm not saying it's... by the way, my view is that the manager should be criticised, the manager should be scrutinised, and his job should be under a certain amount of pressure at all times. This is Manchester United. How much to buy your channel? I'd probably sell it for about 5 million quid. I just made that number up. I don't know why, but that just seems like a nice number. In fact, no, I want 5 million after tax, so probably like 6-7 million. Thanks. If you've got the money, bro, super chat it now, and you can have it. James here says blame lies with me in suit. Shouldn't have bought 2 10s and kept Bruno when other positions are needed. Bruno got to play 10. Listen, I do agree with that as a challenge. I think that's a really good point you make there, James Black, that I do think Ruben's making a mistake by playing Bruno in that 10. So that is something to criticise him with, absolutely, fundamentally. And I'm not defending him on that because I don't like it. I don't mind it when we're attacking with the ball. I don't like it when we're trying to defend. He's not disciplined enough. So I don't care about the heat maps because the heat maps show where you are when you're in possession. And Bruno is where I expect him to be in possession because he's gonna maraud, especially as he takes corners because he's going to be on different sides. But sometimes, though, some of the heat map I suppose you could look at is where he's pressing out of position. He might win the ball back, and that as a whole, he needs to be more disciplined. And I actually think Mainoo would be more disciplined because he's a more natural central midfield player. The only way you get away with Bruno being there is if you have someone like Belieber that can cover the ground on the holes that he's left. And actually, United have needed a midfielder like that for about 3 years and haven't got one. So no, I do fundamentally agree with you. Have we done all the super chats? I don't want to miss anybody's. Kev here. You didn't say anything, but you just super chatted. But thank you very much, bro. I appreciate it indeed. Thomas says, can you read my super chat? I'll try and find it if I can. How much to buy? Sorry, we've done that one there. Thomas, did I miss it, my friend? I don't always mean to. It's because we do this by OBS. 7 wins in 29 league games. Listen, it deserves scrutiny, Sam. I absolutely believe it deserves scrutiny. At the same time, we're ripping the whole club apart and rebuilding it. I don't think we should forget that. This isn't the same as taking over a team that has been moving in the right direction, has a really good squad, has the infrastructure already in place, maybe had a bad year. I feel like it's a little different. But some people might just say that's excuses. Can't let Kobbie go, Terry. Thomas. I don't know how I missed yours. I'm very sorry if I did. Because I found it. I thought I read yours. I've got it now. Thomas, I found your super chat. Sorry, my friend, I found it. It says, "Chill, guys. We'll win next. Move to 4 points. Liverpool draw with Arsenal. Both only 3 points away. We can win the league still." I like it. Look, but this is also part of it. I mean, everything we're saying today. Everything we're saying right now, beat Grimsby, beat Burnley, the atmosphere will be different. It will. That's why I'm not even disagreeing with criticism people have got. I'm just not allowing myself to become emotional right now. I'm just not. Look, I want to thank every single person. Oh, sorry, has Kevin now actually super chatted and said something? He has. Thank you. I will read it, my friend. I won't just ignore that. Sorry. He says, "I'm confident in Amorim, even if we're losing. Past managers got instant results, but foul long term. Amorim is the only one changing the system to get us back to where we belong." Again, sorry, my nose is itching. I'm not even deluding myself on making excuses. None of us have the answer to exactly how to fix this because we've all given, we're so broken. But there is a train of thought and there is logic behind. We're going about this in a completely different way. The results are different. Everything's different compared to the last times we tried to rebuild and fix things. So there is an argument to say let's persevere through the adversity, let's work through it, let's keep building the squad, and we may then at the end build the results that we want. I say that's just as likely as changing managers again, changing formations again, and being back here in 18 months. I think they both, you look at it and go, what we have for changing again is empirical, undeniable facts that cannot be debated. That it hasn't worked every time we've done that. So for me, if we do change manager, where I remain confident is if we continue in the same direction. Where I lose all hope is if we sack the manager and then go in a completely new direction. Then I'm like, you know what? The players are going to go back to their old ways. We know what's going to happen. And that would worry me a lot. But look, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. The United stand back at 8 p.m. tonight. Hopefully before then, maybe, if there's some big breaking news, but we will see. If you want to come see more of myself, I'm live at around 3:30 for Straight Facts on the Football Terrace. I know so many of you have subscribed to my platform over there, and I love being part of the United Stand community and the That's Football community. But I appreciate sort of the crossover and the love that we've seen in that as well. So if you want to come over and watch us at 3:30, that would be amazing. Actually, Carl Robinson has just said one of the players who played the system can't get into the team. One of the players played. Yeah. I mean, this is also it when it comes to people saying let's go back to a 4-2-3-1. A lot of players here fouled on the managers that have played that 4-3-3. Fouled on the managers that played it. So I'm not. This is why I just don't believe in the panacea. The one solution fixes all our problems. And it's more I'm arguing with the solution than I am people's observations of our problems. The problems we're identifying aren't wrong. It's the solutions that I'm going, fuck off, wrong. Sorry for swearing, Mark. Wrong. Because it's just too simple. It's too basic. It's too neat. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, I want to say a big thank you to each and every single one of you. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we will see you all again very, very